All right, hello again everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is a technical analysis, trade ideas for the week of January 27th, 2014. All right, the first one I want to look at here is Canadian Solar. Now, right off the bat, I'm just going to say that Canadian Solar, this play is somewhat of a counter trend play because the trend is up, the 50 is above the 200, the 20 is above 50. We're getting a negative cross here on the directional index. So DI minus is above DI plus, getting a close below the 10. We've got divergence, and this is the main reason I'm looking at this trade idea, is because of this divergence and then getting this and this close. Okay, so given that, here's the trade idea that if it breaks the low tomorrow morning, assuming it's not a huge gap. I mean, you got to be careful on this on the opening. I mean, if this thing gaps 2 or 3 points down, then you need to pause and kind of wait and go, okay, maybe I need to wait for better timing. And you never know. On some of these things, they'll run. Sometimes they'll just pull back. But anyway, that's my thought on this. You break the low, Friday's low, look to buy puts. And then the other factor in here is using a 2 ATR stop. We're talking about almost 5.25 points that you would have to add back in. And again, you've got to evaluate based on the volatility of this stock, that kind of risk with the option that you would buy. Is that something that you can handle individually? Okay, is that something that your trading account can handle? And depending on how many options you put on, and et cetera, you've got to determine, is that some kind of the risk that you can assume on this. But you've got to give yourself a little bit of room on this in terms of the initial stop, because these things will move around. So that's my take on this one. We'll see what happens. This is fairly extended on Canadian Solar. I mean, it's had a heck of a move. What is this, $1.95 down here? And so, I mean, now it's all the way up here, almost 45 it hit. So it's totally expected it's going to pull back. Whether or not that's the start of it right now, we'll have to see. But that's the initial play on that. Let's go to Zillow. Zillow, we've got a break of this trend line. Again, I think we've got 5 full moves, 5 full waves up here, and it's a little bit funkier in terms of this count, but this was the low. Actually, this was the first day of trading over here. Here's the low, and I'm counting 1 wave, and then this was a what we call flat correction, and then 3, 4. The 4 shallow wave did not overlap 1, and then the 5th wave up, and that completes the first wave. Now we are going to correct this entire first wave. So the expectation is that we get a correction down around 50 to 61.8% of the entire first move. Now, this is why, that's kind of the setup, the overall picture. We're getting the 10 below the 20 here. DI minus is greater than DI plus. And so, the trade idea is that we're getting a signal at the close on Friday. Again, the whole point about, big gap down, then I wouldn't chase it. And again, 2 ATR stop is even bigger, even larger. Of course, it's a higher price stock, almost 7.25 points on this as an initial stop. So that's that's the second trade idea for today. And you can see this is starting to break down. You don't have strong divergence on here, but you do have the trend line break. And you do have a scenario that almost looks like the start of an ABC correction. Now we've got this trend line here coming off of the bottom of wave 4. So I think there's a good chance that this thing will break and break on down into here. So that's the thoughts on Zillow. And I've got 3 other stocks I want to just talk about, not specific for some trade idea for tomorrow morning or for this week. I mean, to watch it. Let's talk about Tesoro. Okay, Tesoro is broken down out of this, barbed wire is what I call it here. Let me look at something here. The way I look at this is you look at the distance here Okay, like the distance of this line. A lot of times I'll take a little business card or a piece of paper and measure this, and because I'm using semi-log graph paper, I then make an equal line from the break here. Whenever you see a sideways type of consolidation like this, a line type of consolidation, I then measure it on down, and I did this on the chart literally, and this will actually equal this, and so this becomes the target for this move. Okay, and what I'm looking at here is I would wait to see a pullback. I'm not getting any, let me get out of this for a minute. I'm not getting any, this doesn't let me, I'm going to have to erase that. Now it lets me get back and work my chart. So I'm not getting any divergence, okay? You're going to a higher high on the DI minus. There's no divergence on the RSI, but I wouldn't just jump in, okay? Because you just don't know. I would wait for a pullback to above the blue line, which is the 10 EMA. So I would like to see a close above that, then be looking at going short on it again, knowing that the target is down to here. And actually that kind of coincides with this trend line that we've got here that's coming up from down below. So that could be an interesting play. Again, I would be waiting to see on a pullback of some kind. And let's see, the next one is, I want to talk about Yandex. Yeah, again, similar type thing. I think Yandex is in a third major wave, so I'm looking for a fourth wave correction, down into here. And actually 38% of the move would take it down into this area, which would coincide with the 200-day moving average too, so that's kind of interesting. Kind of a nice setup. And Yandex, this is the picture on Yandex. We had this initial move. It retraced almost 100%, literally within 5 cents of 100% of this first wave. And so then we had this big third wave move, and that's the way I'm counting it. And so then we're looking at a correction of this third wave move, and 38% of that would be into here. I'm expecting a shallower correction for the red fourth wave move down to here. So the whole point now is, I'm not saying go in and go short this. Watch it, look for a bottom in here, unless you get a pullback above the blue and gives you some kind of convenient way to play it to the downside. Okay, that would be the other option. So don't just jump in and buy puts here. Either wait for a pullback bounce, or wait for it to bottom and try to buy a rally. Okay, so that's my thought on Yandex and on Youku. Similar on Youku, okay? Got actually a similar type setup, so it's kind of interesting that we've got that on these two social media type plays. Again, I'm thinking we got a third wave. I think we had a large diamond formation on Youku as a bottom. It came out of this. In wave 1, wave 2, we had this wave 3. I think we're looking to bottom back in this area on a wave 4. But again, don't just dive in and buy puts here. I would wait for a pullback, or just wait for it to bottom and see if you can buy a turn and a next move up. So that's my thought on Youku. So in terms of something that's immediately actionable, we'd be looking at the Canadian Solar and Zillow. I think are the two shots right out of the chute tomorrow. And then the other ones are just to watch. So that's it for today. We'll see what this week's we got a lot of things going on with the economic reports and the Federal Reserve meeting on Tuesday, Wednesday, with the Open Market Committee report coming out on Wednesday afternoon. So it's going to be an interesting week. We'll talk to you guys again on Tuesday evening. So have a great Monday, Tuesday. This has been Joe for Beyond the Chart.